Well, good morning everybody. Well, at least it's morning for me. I'm not sure what time of day it'll be for you. I've come out early. We're in the middle of a mini heat wave here in the UK. And so I've come out very early to my local park. I was here just the other day taking some shots with my latest acquisition, which is the little Pergear 25mm 1.8 lens. Just a very reasonably priced Chinese manual focus lens, and that's the whole point of this video, really, to illustrate what sort of results it will give you on micro four thirds. I'm using it, of course, on the Olympus OMD EM1, the Mark 1 version, and when I was here yesterday I was taking images of the sunflowers. It was much later in the day when they were in full sunshine, so as you can see at the moment they're in shadow, but I'm going to take some images now and I'll speak to you soon. So, as well as using the Pergear 25mm, thought it might be useful for you to see the kind of results that you can get using a legacy lens. In this case, it's the 50mm Yashinon, the 1.8 DS, which I got originally very shortly after purchasing the OMD EM10, which I have now sold on, but I'm hoping to illustrate the sort of different characteristics that you get between a modern, albeit budget-priced, manual focus lens and a legacy lens. Let's see what different character they give in the images. A lot of people have come out early this morning to avoid the worst or best of the heat, depending on which way you look at it. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing the comparison between these two lenses. The modern budget-priced Chinese manufactured Pergear 25mm and this 50-year-old Yashinon 1.8. I'm hoping that there's going to be a noticeable difference in character. Of course, there's going to be a difference in coverage, because on micro four thirds the 50mm equates to a 100mm and the 25mm equates to a 50mm on full frame. So there's going to be a difference, but I hope the difference is more than just one of angle of view and perspective. Whew. Well, so I've taken a few shots on both lenses. The 50mm, of course, is bulkier because you have to take into account the lens adapter. So it's larger in diameter and it protrudes further in front of the camera body than the modern lens. But other than that, it's a joy to use. I'm still experiencing the same issues that I had way back when I was using the EM10, namely that the Yashinon focuses way beyond infinity. It's definitely something to do with the manual adapter. This one's manufactured by Earth, URTH. Whether that's something common to all manual adapters, I don't know. It's no big deal once you are aware of it. And of course, focus peaking and magnify, you can't live without them really when you're going down the manual focus route with these legacy lenses, and indeed the modern. Nice little feather wafting past me. So I'm roughly halfway round Princess Park Lake. I'm going to continue see if I can get some more comparison images between the two lenses, and I will see you back at the house, and we'll do a check on the PC, see what results we've got. Probably rubbish, but hey ho, that's me. I'll speak to you soon. Oh, here I am, sat not at my PC, but at my new acquisition, which is an Apple Mac Mini. So I've gone over to, is it the dark side or the enlightened side? Depends which side of the fence you sit on, I guess. Yeah, my PC was about 6 or 7 years old, and it was really struggling to cope with even HD quality uploads to YouTube, so the Mac seemed to be the best way to go. It's just the base model, 8 gig of RAM, so you know, I'm still going to be pushing it, but it is already noticeably faster than my PC. And this will be the first video that I'm uploading in 4K, so we'll see how it goes. And perhaps you guys can let me know what you think when you see it posted on YouTube. Really quite a simple video, at least the idea behind it was initially to show you the Pergear 25mm 1.8 lens. It cost me all of £40, not brand new, but it may as well have been. I've got the original box and the pouch and everything that came with it, including the metal screw-on lens hood. And I had already used a very similar lens, the 7 Artisans version of this, which to all intents and purposes is the same lens. I think it's fair to say there's some debate as to whether Pergear, 7 Artisans and TT Artisans are in fact separate companies. They may well be separate companies, but I'll be amazed if their products come out of 3 different factories. I'm pretty sure they all come out of one. Anyway, the example that I had was for the APS-C mount Fuji, and I was amazed at the results. There's a couple that I'm going to put on screen for you to have a look at, and I was really delighted with it. So realizing that I was, if you like, scaling my sensor size down to micro four thirds, I thought, aha, 25mm on micro four thirds will give me a 50mm equivalent. So I thought, right, first example I had was brilliant, let's invest in another one, this time the Pergear example as opposed to 7 Artisans, and the same thing applies. I'm really happy with it. Is it perfect? No, not by a long shot. Is it worth £40? I think about 50 or 60 brand new. The answer is an unequivocal yes, absolutely. I'm not going to dissuade people from investing in the top of the line manual focus lenses that you get from the likes of Lauer, but if you're on a budget, and I certainly am, then these little Chinese lenses really are great value for money. Really are great value for money. So I'm going to show you now some images that I've taken both on the Pergear and the Yashica. You'll have seen some of them already during the course of the video, but I'll run through what I've found out and give you my more sort of technical impression, if you want to call it that. So one of the main differences that you will notice with the Pergear compared to the Yashica in particular are the irises. On the old Yashica, it's a 6-blade iris, and I've taken some shots here of the iris to show you that you do get a hexagonal shape as you progressively close the aperture down. Now the Pergear has 12 blades, which, as you can see in this image, will give you a much more circular iris as you progressively close it down. I've got some shots here taken on the Yashica of the sunflower, and if you look at the background in particular, you'll notice that there is a difference. If you look at the highlights, particularly probably bottom left, behind the sunflower, you can see that hexagonal shape in the out of focus background. If we compare it to the Pergear, you can see that the out of focus highlights are more circular, and that's purely down to the different iris construction in both cases. Of course, you get different perspectives with using the two different lenses. The 50mm on a micro four thirds works out at a 100mm short telephoto. These two shots were taken from exactly the same position, and if you look at this, this was taken at f4, and the foreground, the area in the immediate foreground in the dark shadow, you can see is completely out of focus on the Yashica image, whereas on the Pergear, even though it's taken in exactly the same place, f4 again, the depth of field is huge by comparison. That's an inherent thing with micro four thirds. Then we got a few more shots taken with the Yashica just to illustrate the kind of image that you can expect to get with it. You know, you have to give allowance, or make allowance, I guess, for the fact that it is a 50-odd-year-old lens. But nevertheless, I like using these old lenses. Partly it's because I'm an old fuddy-duddy, and I was selling these things back in the day when they were brand new. Going back to the Pergear, it's an attractive looking little lens, nothing special about it. I wish that it was black all over. I wish that the front elements surround was black rather than chrome silver. It is what it is, you know, it's not a deal breaker. I've taken some shots here to illustrate, I guess, pros and cons. The first image shows you the lack of distortion, really, from the shot. I think this was at 1.8. It was at 1.8. There's very little distortion, a little bit of barrel distortion, but nothing to write home about. The next shot that you can see here is a 100% crop from the center of the image. So this was the first image, but enlarged to 100%, just to be clear. Now, the next four are where things start to fall apart if you want to be critical. And really, I suppose you've got to be critical, even though it's a cheap and cheerful manual focus lens. But this one is a 100% crop from the top right of the image, and this is taken again at f1.8, and it shows you that the image is darker, so you've got some diffraction affecting the image even at 1.8, and it's not quite as sharp. If we go to the same sort of crop from the bottom left hand corner of the image, though, you can see a marked difference. It is nothing like as sharp as the previous image.
So that indicates to me that something isn't aligned properly, or perhaps the elements haven't been ground and polished correctly. I don't know what it is, but there's a big discrepancy between top right corner and bottom left corner. And also this one is top right at f16, and it just illustrates more of the diffraction and the darkening of the image in the corners. So I'm going to finish off by putting some of my favourite images up again at the end of this video. I hope it's been helpful to you. Given the shortcomings of the lens, and it does have shortcomings, but you have to remember that in general use you're not really going to notice them unless you are ultra critical. And in my book, if you're focusing, pardon the pun, on the technical aspects of it, then you're losing the point, in my humble opinion. You're dealing with a lens that cost me £40 including carriage. May as well be brand new. To be honest with you, I believe the previous owner just couldn't get on with manual focus. The beauty of mirrorless cameras, of course, are the focus peaking and magnify facilities, which are an absolute godsend when it comes to manual focusing. You'll probably see in a couple of shots I haven't quite nailed focus even with those two aids, but hey ho, that's the way of the world, I'm afraid. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. And of course with lenses like this, we do tend to want to use them at wide apertures. It's not likely that I'm going to usually stop this down to f16. I just don't work like that. And the same goes with the Yashica. I would prefer to be using this at between 1.8 and f4. I've just realised I've been lying to you all along. It's not a 1.8, it's a 1.9. Oh my days. Wait for the comments to come rushing in. Anyway, there we go. I hope you've got some useful information out of this video. I'm still getting to grips with the UI of the Mac compared to a PC. Oh my god. But I'm going to get there, and God willing, hopefully. Oh, by the way, the other thing is that I'm now editing everything in DaVinci Resolve, the free version, which just seems fabulous to me. One final thing, and it's a criticism not of Mac or PC, it's a criticism of Serif, the people who produce Affinity Photo. Changing from PC to Mac, in my experience, shouldn't present problems in reinstalling software, your apps. As you will probably know if you've watched my channel for a while, I use Affinity Photo and On1 Photo Raw 2022 for my image editing. The problem I've got is that Affinity Photo will not let me reinstall that software on the Mac. They tell me it's because they are two separate license agreements between Apple and the PC manufacturers. So for me to get Affinity Photo reinstalled on the Mac, I've got to spend £47, I think it is, for the privilege, which I'm not very happy about, but I'll probably do it within the next month or so. It's galling because On1 Photo Raw, no problem, I'd already paid for their software. They had already given me a license agreement, and when I put that in, straight away it allowed me to install that software on the Mac. So I'm having a moan, Serif, at you guys, because there must be a way around that. If On1 does it without charging you extra, why can't you? Perhaps one of you keen tech heads out there will let me know in the comments. But until the next time, I'm going to say enjoy your photography, stay safe, be well, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye for now.